What's good, y'all? Thank y'all for tuning in and keeping it Benji. And as always, stay blessed. What's good, y'all? Thank y'all for tuning in today. Now, today we talking about a little touchy topic. Touchy topic. Nigga, we talking about a fucking touchy topic today. We talking about single parenthood. Um, you know, this topic is just something that I feel is very important. You know what I mean? And I just want to talk about it. And it's crazy because the reason why I'm even talking about this, you know what I mean, it's definitely a petty ass reason. I ain't gonna cap to you. It's very petty. But, the reason why I'm talking about this is because I had this conversation with a single mother. At this point, it was about probably a month back. You know what I mean? And I was talking to her, and we had a good little conversation. And during the conversation, it was roughly around the tail end of the conversation, she said that she had 2 children. And I didn't say nothing about it when we was talking. I just let her keep on going, you feel me? Because I was enjoying the conversation, whatever. But in my mind, as soon as she said that, I was like, yeah, nah. And the next morning, after that call, I had texted her saying, like, yeah, um, I don't want to waste your time. Uh, I find you attractive and all that, but I'm a young man, 23 years old, and because you have 2 children, I can't be a part of any of that. You know what I mean? And I ain't gonna lie, I also told her, if you just want to be physical, that's cool, but other than that, like, I'm not messing with you. And she got defensive real quick. You know what I mean? And it's crazy because I know I'm very blunt, I'm very honest, and I'm very truthful to what I talk, how I talk. And that's off-putting at times. It's especially when you just say it like outright, like, yeah, there ain't gonna be nothing, no seriousness. It's just gonna be your body. You feel me? But the men that's gonna mess with her, you know what I mean? They're gonna do all that shit, but they're just not gonna say. They're just gonna hide it. You feel me? They're gonna get close to her. You know what I mean? They want to talk, speed her up until they get it, and then they gone. You know what I mean? And then the cycle continues when it comes to how she'll see men or whatever. You feel me? And I ain't want to do that. That's not the man I want to be. You know what I mean? And I understand the importance of the effects of what a single parent household can put on to the parents, the child, and all that. You feel me? You feel me? Because I grew up in a single parent household, and it's things I missed out on. You know what I mean? My father not being in my life, um, you know what I mean? It forced me to figure out things on my own. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have no male role model in my life, and a lot of men growing up these days, they don't, because single parent household is increasing. You know what I mean? And most of the time, the father is the one that is not raising that child. You know, and most of the time they don't have no father figure, nothing to look up to. You know, for me, I didn't have nothing. I had my grandfather who passed away when I was 9 years old. You know what I mean? So the things that I saw from him, which was basically just being a stoic individual, always going to work, never raising his voice, you know what I mean? Always providing. That's what I looked up to. But once he was gone and once we moved to Maryland, you feel me, it was like, well, what now? You know what I mean? And I was 9 years old, but I had such a old soul and I saw the world not black and white, but I saw the gray, the gray in it. You know what I mean? So the thoughts I had as a child, they weren't the ones of how other children saw the world. You know what I mean? Me seeing death at such a young age, you know what I mean, just created a different viewpoint on life for me. You know what I mean? And so us moving out, me being in a house with 2 women, you know what I mean, my sister and my mother, there was no way I was going to be able to figure out exactly how to be a man. You know what I mean? And, my mom, she put me into activities such as football. Yeah, it was just football. I didn't do basketball. It was just that. But she put me in football just to try to give me that male essence, you know what I mean, that male voice, whatever, you know what I mean. And I'm glad she did that, you know what I mean. I met some great friends in that. Um, but when it comes to figuring out how to be a man, like not for real. You feel me? There was nothing that she could really do to offset that imbalance. You know what I mean? So I'm growing up in a world with a lot of feminine energy or that feminine voice, you know. And no, I don't regret it. I mean, I'm a man that's very emotionally intelligent because of that. You know what I mean? And due to and me being emotionally intelligent, I'm able to handle my emotions better than others, better than most men. You know what I mean? I had to figure out how to be a man on my own, and that's cool. But it would have been so much easier if both parents was in that household. You know what I mean? I don't think I don't think people in general understand the importance of that. You know, I think people get into situationships, relationships, whatever you want to call it. They get sex, they have a baby, they have sex, they have a baby, and then uh, deuces, they gone. Like, and it's so common now, single parenthood, people growing up without two parents. It's so common that, you know, I mean, society sees man in a certain way, you know, and most people are growing up now without that male voice, so they don't even know what a man should be. They don't know how a man should act, how a man should love, how he should talk. You know what I mean? The way that we see men is via social media, movies, uh, you know, whatever the fuck, you feel me? But for the most part, there ain't nobody talking to us in that masculine, like, voice, that role model that we can look up to. You know what I mean? And I find that very sad. You know, like, and I honestly think that's affecting, like, even relationships. You know what I mean? Because men don't know how to be men. They don't know how to court. You know what I mean? They don't know how to be chivalrous. And on the flip side, you know what I mean? When women see that or they feel that chivalry or that realness, you know what I mean? It's off-putting because they've dealt with so much toxicity, you know what I mean, from men who didn't have that male real voice in their life. So it's like that's the norm. I mean, that's something that I've, you know what I mean, just witnessed from the relationships, the situationships that I've been in. You feel me? But no, I just want people to be, you know, better. You know what I mean? I ain't talking about this for no reason. You know, I'm talking about it because I believe it's important. You know what I mean? And we as a community, especially the black community, we don't talk about shit like that. We don't talk about our emotions. We don't talk about our traumas, our pains, none of that. You know what I mean? And all this shit stems from our, you know, our adolescence, our childhood. You know. Now I don't have kids right now, and if I did, I'd be scared of the motherfucker. You know what I mean? People are having kids so young, and they don't know what the hell they doing. You know what I mean? Because they haven't seen a healthy relationship. You know what I mean? So they doing it blindly, and I believe probably all parents are raising their children blindly. They don't know what's going on. They just hope and pray that they come out right. You know what I mean? I don't think most people are actually trying to do that work when it comes to being a parent. You feel me? And they don't understand how hard it is when it's just you, when it's just one parent. You know what I mean? I had this interview with my mom, you know what I mean? And she told me a lot of things about her experiences as a single parent. You know what I mean? The relationship she had with my sister's father, the relationship she had with my father. You know what I mean? And it really enlightened me on a lot of things. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It showed me how strong she was. The you know what I mean? The emotions that she had to go through, the things that she had to go through being a single parent that isn't talked about from most families. You know what I mean? Like they don't see the darkness of what a single parent household does. That gets lost in the shuffle. You feel me? It's like I can do this by myself. I can be bad all by myself. You know what I mean? And it's like that's cool if you think that. You know, I applaud you, but it's gonna get hard. You feel me? But I don't know. Like I guess for me, you know, growing up in a single parent household, me not having that masculine figure, it affected me for a long time in my life. You know what I mean? Until I eventually found a male voice. Until I found, you know, family members that I can talk to who are men that I could vent to, you know, men who had similar experiences that I had, you know what I mean? And I think a lot of men don't have that. You know what I mean? And I hope that every man that doesn't have that, they find that. You know what I mean? They find that male voice that's gonna give them some type of information that's gonna push them in the correct direction. You know what I mean? I think a lot of, especially young black men, you know what I mean? When they don't have that, they turn to either sports or they turn to gangs. You know what I mean? It's like they need that, whatever the fuck, they need that male voice type shit, bro. That camaraderie when it comes to what a gang or sports does. I believe that to be true. You know what I mean? And like the masculinity of today's world, you know what I mean, is so diminished. I wouldn't say just because of single parent households, you know what I mean, it's multiple things. But the fact that these men don't have that male voice, it's making men not men anymore. I just want to educate, you know what I mean? There's this book called The Way of the Superior Man that tells you a lot about how to be a man, how to move, how to act, you know what I mean, how you're supposed to carry yourself. I think every man should be reading this book. You know what I mean? A lot of men looking in the mirror, you know what I mean, and either they don't like what they see or they don't even know what they seeing. You know what I mean? They see a shell of themselves or they don't even see themselves at all. You know what I mean? That shit just, that hurts me. You feel me? Especially because I was that a couple months ago. You feel me? So I don't want no man to feel like that. I don't think, I don't think parents understand what children go through, especially if you tear a family apart. You know what I mean? If the both parents was in their lives, you know what I mean, from the jump, and then a separation happens, I don't think parents understand the importance of what that child goes through. You know what I mean? The resentment that that child can have towards whatever parent left. You know what I mean? Now I was grown enough as a young motherfucking man to realize that my father was gone, but I didn't resent him for it. You feel me? But I know damn well a lot of children who parent did leave, they have a resentment to them. Why did they leave? You know what I mean? So many questions that aren't unanswered. You know what I mean? And don't let a stepfather or a stepmother come in. You know what I mean? Unless that stepmother stepfather is A1 day one. You feel me? That child ain't ever gonna love that step parent to the fullest of their capabilities because they can't. You know what I mean? They feel like they were, I guess, brushed over to the side type shit. You know what I mean? I, I enjoy having talks like this. You know what I mean? That conversation I had with my mother that y'all about to hear, you feel me? It puts a lot of insight on on the parent perspective. You know what I mean? I'm just giving my perspective of what I see and what I feel. You know what I mean? And how I feel like it's affecting all of us as a whole. I do want to say that my mother is a great woman and she raised a good man. She raised a very respectable, chivalrous, intelligent, whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? She raised a good man. Um, but she couldn't do everything. You know what I mean? But anyway, let's get into this interview with my moms. You feel me? I hope y'all stay blessed. Let's get it. What's good, y'all? Welcome to Keep It a Benji. I thank y'all for tuning in. Today I got a special guest, my mom, and I just want to say, I appreciate you doing this. You know what I mean? I don't know if you ever really like question, what you or how you did with me or anything like that. But if you do, you shouldn't. You know what I mean? I believe that you raised a good man. Of course, I had to learn things on my own. You know what I mean? As everybody does. When you grow up, you have to learn things on your own, all that. But I feel like you did a great job with me. So I appreciate you coming on here. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I know this has been long awaited. I've been nervous about it. Um, but I appreciate the interview. And as you know, I always say how proud I am of you as a man and your destination to get where you want. I always told you you'll always get there. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. My destination, I don't even know what that is. Honestly, for me, I still say I just want to be the best man I can be, and I'm still trying to get there. You know what I mean? I know it's a hard life. You know what I mean? Everybody goes through their trials and tribulations, and they got to figure out what's gonna happen to them. I guess. I mean, my goal is just to be the best man I can be. Looking up to grandpa. You know what I mean? Looking up to grandpa, but I had to forge my own lane for myself. I had to figure out who I was. Who I wanted to be. I'm still trying to do that now, but I'm more clear mindset wise on who I want to be. You know what I mean? Where I'm trying to go. So yeah. But today we talking about I guess a touchy topic that isn't really talked about. Um, I mean, even though a lot of people go through this, we're talking about single parenthood. I believe it's a very strong topic. You know what I mean? Because it's grown. Single parenthood has grown, and I believe that a two-parent household, you know what I mean, is it's important for I guess like just the growth of the individual. I'm not saying that you can't be who you want to be with a single parent household, but I do believe that it is important. Do you agree?
I do agree. I also know that some people are put under circumstances that they are put in as being either a single mother or a single father. I mean, I was lucky enough to have my mom and my dad in my life. I've seen how they stay together through the um, their struggles and trying to keep everything together. And I know they most definitely did it because they wanted to be there for their children. But I also feel like you can also do that uh, being a single mother, single father. I do feel like a child does miss out on either if, whether they're missing their mother or their father. And as a mother or a father that is single, they're trying to fulfill that deficit they have and having the children be put in different activities. So that's what I tried to do, especially as a son. I didn't really worry too much about Tiara. I'm sorry, your sister, because I guess for to me she needed me more, but her father also was in her life um,
She was.
as
He
she was
was.
growing up.
He was.
Yes.
Like from up to high school, like or just from Maryland.
Up to high school. Yeah.
I never saw him. Like you talking about like
So your sister. So I was with your sister's father for 6 years. And we met, and we were actually going to get married, but I grew apart from him spiritually and emotionally. But between those 6 years, I had Tierra, which I never planned on being a single mother with her, but that's how that happened. As we grew apart, and we still had a good relationship parenting, so she would either go to Maryland to be with her daughter, with her father for a school year, or she would be in New York. She spent years in New York, and I would make sure that she stayed involved with her father and him being there as a parent, as well as I try to do with your father, as you know.
mm, yeah. I mean, I honestly for me, I don't remember much. I don't even remember my sister's father being in the picture that much. I mean, obviously we didn't have a connection at all that, so I wouldn't notice. But like, I guess for my father, you know, what I mean, I remember the little things. I remember us being together sometimes growing up. Him coming down sometimes as well, but like I do miss out. I missed out on that connection with him in this sense. Like I don't even know. I question why. I do question why. Like because you say as you say you tried to or you definitely allowed him to be a part of my life. I just think he didn't know how to or he's it wasn't in his plans to do it. I guess. And I mean I do question that on why that was. You know what I mean? And you said that you with my sister's father that you grew out spiritually. Um, I'm assuming that was the same for my father, but for my sister's father, like, what do you mean you grew apart spiritually?
So, just to not put a lot of emphasis on, I guess, his background, it's just when I met her father, uh, he had just got out of the military, and he was trying to find his way, kind of like you were. And he had a mentor that was in the military as well. He They met back together, and he was in a certain religion. And for some odd reason, your sister's father felt like that religion is what he needed to help him grow, but that his religious views took over his relationships with his friends and his family. So I was the last person to kind of stick in there because I loved him, but it was either religion and not to preserve the healthy relationships or the loved ones in your life. So just to say that I tried to make it work, and then I just grew out of. I had to get out of the relationship for me to be healthy, for me to be able to help raise your sister at the time, because of course she wasn't born yet. And I also had just finished college, and I was trying to start my career.
Mm. So when you felt when y'all fell out and Did you feel like you was raising her by yourself in that sense?
No, we had already established that she would spend time with him, and he was also providing for her financially. Like I said, she would spend like a school year with him. So she would spend a school year. So I guess maybe, I want to say maybe third or fourth grade, and then maybe fifth or sixth. And she would go, 1 year she spent in New York, 1 year she spent in Maryland. And then on her own, she was like, Mom, I'm okay. Like she wanted to be with me. She was fine with spending time with her father, but his way of how she felt, or her being comfortable about the way she was being raised versus I was, not that he was doing a bad thing, it was just not helping her, I think, mentally and spiritually to grow, and she was more comfortable with me.
So
And she wasn't, like I said, she would be there for a school year. She would spend the summers with me. So that was my way of her trying to make sure she had time. And this is something that he wanted to do. He wanted her to come and have a whole school year. It's not something I wanted to do. So, but
so so and when we moved to Maryland, it was like he was still there. He was still trying to be there in my sister's life.
oh yeah, they talked over the phone when he would come to Virginia. He would make sure that he came and saw her because at that time he had completely relocated to New York.
So so when you met my father, he knew that you had my sister and all that, and I'm pretty sure he had my brother already, right?
So yes, when we met, it was actually at a house party, and that's how we met. At that point,
A house party.
people used to have house parties. Yeah.
I didn't know you
Were
used to go
you?
to house parties. I didn't know you used to go to house parties. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we met at a house party, and at that point in time, actually, I was actually in the process of going in the Air Force. I had already seen a recruiter. I had to get rid of your sister's baby weight, so I was working on getting my weight off, and I met him, and things we just sparked and had conversation, and next thing I know, uh, we were in a relationship. The issue happened is your father had been in a relationship with someone for a long time, and I guess at one point they were trying to have a baby, and he felt like he couldn't have kids, or that's what he told me, he couldn't have children. So unfortunately, what happens, you have unprotected sex because you feel like you're safe, and I got pregnant with you.
Yeah.
So we were already in love, and we were talking about getting married. And I was like, we definitely wanted to have you.
And in this process, how many years did that take for y'all to get to that point? Saying, marriage and
Less than 6 months. I
wow.
think we were dating for maybe 4. And the 5th or 6th month, I found out I was pregnant.
And how old were y'all?
20. I was 27, 27, 28.
Wow. I don't think they. I mean, it was pretty sure it was genuine y'all connection, right?
Yeah, it was genuine, our connection. The issue is you can have a connection, but it's different when how you were raised, and we were totally raised different. You talk about single motherhood and single fatherhood. I had your mom, your grandfather and grandmother that instilled love, support, commitment, loyalty, and all that. And then on his side, his parents were married, actually still married, but they were not together.
Yeah.
And the relationship between his mother and father was rocky, and there was some abuse. and they were not together when I met him. His mother was in New York, getting ready to move to Florida. She had bought a house, and the father was still in New York, but they weren't talking, and he had another family. So once I met him, and then we were talking about getting married, and then we got married, and your dad did have cold feet.
When it comes to the marriage,
Actually, probably a day or two before the marriage, some of we not married. But anyway, we end up getting married. He was just scared, which he just had got out the military. Here comes this woman, established. We fall in love, then I get pregnant. So he's dealing with all of that. And then as our relationship, because it went so fast, then I'm learning, okay, who is this man? I really don't know
yeah,
really who this man is.
yeah. That's what I was like, kind of getting at. Like it was six
Yeah,
months.
yeah. So then you figure out um, his flaws and why maybe this relationship is not going to work.
Mm.
So
So when did that? You say you had that spiritual loss with my sister's father. So when did it happen with my father?
to be honest, while I was carrying you,
Mm.
and I don't know what's going on with him emotionally and mentally, and I think it really didn't have anything to do with me, but he wasn't talking about it, so um,
And you asked
make
him.
it. Yeah, I would ask him and talk to him, but I mean, I knew about his upbringing. He told me about literally that when him and his mom and dad broke up, his mom left and took his baby brother and left his two other brothers with the dad. And then his dad decided, I want to, basically he had decided he wanted to have another family. And he left your dad and his brother to fend for themselves. He checked on them, but basically they were raising their own
What do
selves.
you mean? Like my grandmother wasn't raising my dad, and
No,
so how old was my father when he was basically raising himself?
he was a teenager.
Mm. Damn.
So, at the end of the day, we actually broke up while I was carrying you. I went to go live with your grandparents. I had you, and he was there for your birth, and he was like, "I want to make this work. I love you." Da da da. So we did get back together, um, but the issues were still there. And when I say issues, um, we're old. I'm grown. He's grown. We're older. Unsure if he's going to even listen to this. But he had a lot of he had low self esteem, and I think he was still trying to figure himself out. And he didn't know how to be a father. He didn't know how to be a husband, and he was trying and just not taking responsibility for the household. And basically, I was at the point where I was doing everything myself. Also trying to raise you when you was really young, and then trying to raise your sister. And I had to make a decision. So we, I had to break up with him again. Believe me, I tried. Like, you got to do this, and it's small things, but he just couldn't do it. And so, and then I was also like, he was like, he had probably all the qualities you have and more, the leadership and all that. Y'all are the same sign of Leo, but uh, he was always negative. So I'm like, you can do this, you can do this. Like when he got a management position at a certain retail assistant manager, and he was telling me the position was open. I said, you can do it. You can do anything you want to. He was like, he's questioning me. I can? Yeah, you can. And he ended up getting the position. But it's the continuous like talking, and then the next thing you know, and talk, and I'm trying to stay up here
Yeah.
so I can raise you and your sister, but he down here all the time. And you can't be a good parent to your children when you're trying to pour all this positivity in a person that's not trying to accept it.
Mm. Yeah.
So that's how that went. So once we did break up, and you had and you had the opportunity. I think we tried one more time, but then I was done.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember we drove to Florida, and you finally met his. Well, maybe
Grandparents?
maybe that was no. I think no. That was the time that we did get together. I'm sorry, the second time, and that was it. After that, but you ended up meeting your grandparents and
Yeah.
all that.
Mm. So, do you remember? Because I feel like we lived together at some point in Virginia, right? All of us.
Yeah,
So, when was that? That was
the second time that we tried. I guess you was
had to be before I was 8, because we moved to Maryland.
yeah. It was
Yeah.
before you was 8.
Mm. I remember little
You
certain things
was
about
you
that.
was small.
Yeah. I remember little certain things about that. I know. I remember my most.
You was either
What?
I either 2 or 3 when we officially broke up.
I could have swore I was older when we started living together though. We wasn't.
I don't think so.
Wow, because that's weird. Because I remember a certain memory. I remember my father was shaving in the mirror, and he had gave me the razor, and but it was a guard on it,
Mm.
and I remember you coming in saying like like you gave him a look, and he was like, "Oh, the cover's on." I just remember memories like that. You know what I mean? Those are actually fond memories, just those little moments. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I do wish we did have more moments like that. I mean, eventually, we were gonna have that talk because I mean, you saying, I mean, you give me more information about him. Like, I didn't know he grew up like that. I didn't know he grew up. I mean, I knew his father wasn't in his life like that as well, but I didn't know that he was on his own like that, trying to raise his brother at the same time.
Well, they were trying to raise themselves
Yeah.
because his brother's maybe a year older than him.
Mm.
But yeah, they were teenagers, and their father would come and check on them, either give them money, give them food, but he was somewhere else,
Mm.
um, having a family. So
So, and like when raising me, I mean, like, did you worry because you didn't have that male figure? I guess
you said, did I work?
worry.
No, I just felt like no, my I guess my frustration was the fact that your father didn't know, couldn't embrace the fact that not only did he have you as a son, but he also had your brother as a son, and he wasn't spending no time with y'all like he should to grow a relationship,
Mm.
and how much he was missing out on the beauty of y'all as young men and his offspring.
Mm.
Um, but no, did I worry? No, I just felt like I had enough love from myself and the family, and that I would, in my best way, try to make sure that there was some type of male figure in your life that was positive, whether it be your grandfather, whether it's when you were in sports, and of course, I wanted to make sure you were interested, but when you played basketball, when you played football.
Yeah, but I know you tried. I mean, and I appreciate it for it, but there wasn't no real male figure in my life to give me that voice.
Mm.
So, I mean, me growing up, you know what I mean? I mean, yeah, growing up in a house with 2 women as a man is very, sometimes weird at times, you know what I mean? The things that happen there, that I just was like, let me go on this side, let y'all do what y'all doing. But, like,
What was so weird? And you don't have to be like,
Nah, just the arguments. Y'all would yell at some points, and I would be in my room playing the game, or if I'm not playing the game, I was just chilling or whatever. But like, it just that sense like I didn't. I got my way of thinking from I guess y'all in a sense like I would say I'm an emotional thinker. I don't think most men are like that. You know what I mean? Because they have that. Well, some men had that male voice in their lives. So like you being a woman and my sister being a woman, you know what I mean? I never shied away from showing emotion.
mm-hmm.
So I don't either. You know what I mean? With the ones I'm close to.
But I also, if you remember, I told your sister and each one of you that whatever y'all needed to talk about to come to me. I don't want y'all to feel like y'all can't talk about anything. And the reason why I said that is because I didn't have that while I was growing up. While your grandparents was providers, the love was there, the support was there. There was no open communication. Of course, I could have did more, but there was no communication about finances, about love, about sex, about anything. So all of us had to figure it out on our own.
Yeah, but you didn't have those conversations either though.
I didn't have them, but I made sure that if y'all did want to have them, y'all can talk about it. Now I had small conversations, but then I was shut down, so I left it alone.
Yeah, you're the one you question my sexuality. I ain't like that one.
It wasn't personal. I
I
was
know.
just letting you know.
I know. Honestly,
Audience, I just let him know whether you are heterosexual or homosexual, I don't care. I love you regardless. And then he didn't talk to me for 3 days. But we're moving on.
yeah. Anyway, yeah. I don't know. It's like, for me, when I was growing up, I felt different for a long time. You know, I felt um, not unheard, but like unseen, like just for who I even wanted to be, because I didn't know. You know what I mean? So it's like, and I don't think I ever told you this before, but you know what I mean? I've always been, my mindset has always been like, I guess just like an old soul type. I don't know if you noticed that when I was growing up. Oh, you did. All right, so that changed. Like that mindset flipped a grandfather's passing, because I don't know if I told you this before, but like I think I was roughly 7 or 8 when he did pass. But I remember that night vividly. I remember everybody crying. I remember the way he passed. Um, but I remember not crying either. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't cry that night because I knew what was happening. I do also remember one of my aunties not crying too, because she had said, "Oh, I knew it was happening as well. Like I was ready for it." But that night I didn't cry. You know what I mean? It's like I knew what was happening at such an early age. You know what I mean? And I don't think most kids can do that in a sense. Like n- know know something so serious is happening and not process that emotion. Because I didn't process that emotion until the casket closed. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
you remember that. I don't know if you remember that. I remember I broke down when his casket closed because it was final at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
But during that night, I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying mm-hmm? Yeah.
Because children most of the time have to visually see it to accept it.
I visually saw him pass when that night in the hospital.
Yeah, but like the
Yeah.
closure.
Mm, yeah. I know his name. When he moved to Maryland, you know what I mean. I didn't have. I didn't like you told us that we could express everything to you, but it was just certain emotions in my head and things that I was thinking that I couldn't express. So you know what I mean, I always used to write poetry, used to write stories, and I always question like, did you ever find those? Did you ever see any of those stories? No, really. Wow, I used to leave those around all the time. I'm surprised you ain't never seen that one.
You mentally leave them around,
Yeah, honestly, I did meant to leave them around. Did.
and I didn't see them.
I mean, obviously not, because you just said you didn't see them. Nah, because I mean, I want to say my room was ever really dirty. I don't remember if I was the one cleaning my room or you was.
Oh, but you weren't leaving them around like in the kitchen for me to see them. You just saying you left them around in your room.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember. Was I cleaning my room or you was cleaning?
You was clean. I never had any issue with you. I didn't think you was cleaning your room.
I don't remember that. That's one. Mm. Yeah, it's just I don't know. I just feel like no,
So, what was the issues when you moved to Maryland? I mean, of course, I thought I was doing a not doing a great thing, but I also wanted to make sure that y'all were both together, but also making sure y'all were in a safe neighborhood. I was like, oh, these two schools are right across the street from each other. They're new, but I also, I guess, didn't think about that y'all were moving away from family,
yeah,
moving to an environment that was totally different in Virginia.
yeah, just that. Us, we were children, you know what I mean, and we understood why. I guess. I mean, I never questioned why. We just moved, but moving away from family, things we were used to, you know what I mean, the environment we're in, it's a big change, and I think that's for any child that moves away from something that's consistent. They're gonna they're gonna go through things. They're gonna try to figure out why, or they're gonna question a lot of things. I'm pretty sure that's just what me and my sister did. We just questioned a lot, you know. I mean, and just for me, when I things I questioned was just internally, was just, you know, what I mean, because like I said, I wanted to be a man at such a young age. That was just my sole focus, just to be the man, because we didn't have that, and then also,
Mm-hmm.
so you know what I mean, and I don't even I don't even know what I was doing to try to be that besides just, I guess, trying to be more mature. You know what I mean, getting a job early. I mean, you never asked for any money, but I was gonna give it if you did ask for it. I think I was like probably like 13 when I got my first job. I
Mm-hmm.
think, but I was just I just wanted to be that man so early, and I mean, I'm glad I got the voice that I need now. You know what I mean, whether that's from my cousin or my uncles. You know what I mean, because it has helped me, and me being a spiritual person now just it's also helped me just realize things in my past that I didn't understand, you know what I mean, and had to figure out. But yeah, I don't really know. I'm just I'm glad for who I am now, and I do believe like everything that you did for me. You know what I mean, like it was important. You know what I mean, even us moving, like yeah, we were gone from our family and all that, but the connections I made in Maryland, you know what I mean, experiences I had in Maryland, you know what I mean, I wouldn't throw them away to be back in VA with the whole family.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean, it was good moments, and I still have those friends. You know, I don't even. I don't know. I don't. They didn't really teach me anything how to be a man because they were out. They're teenagers growing up and stuff like that. I learned little stuff from them, but yeah. And I moved. What time? I don't know when I moved out. I think I was 20, 19,
Mm-hmm.
like roughly 19 and 20, moving out. The only reason why I did that was just to challenge myself.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only reason why I did that. Because honestly, I didn't even feel ready when I moved out. I didn't whatsoever. I didn't know what was gonna happen. You know what I mean? I just moved out to see what what would happen.
Yeah, that's the
And
only way you're gonna know what life is about.
I don't.
I
Yeah.
mean, I didn't want you to leave either. I was like, of course, I mean, my thing is, whatever you need to do, there's a support. A mother never wants their child to struggle.
Mm,
And, I hear that all the time. That's why I'll be like, you good? You sure? You okay?
yeah.
Is my words all the time. But if you didn't take that leap of faith and go out on your own, how are you going to supposed to grow as a man?
Yeah. And you also can't grow without struggle.
That part.
Can't grow without failure.
That part.
feel. You know what I mean? Losing that job, going through that depression state that nobody knew. I didn't tell nobody. I don't even know if y'all saw it for real, for real. I mean, y'all saw me getting skinnier over time. I was like, oh, he losing weight. You know what I mean? But other than that, like, they want to know, like, you good.
And see, that's a thing about communicating. And of course, I was so upset because you came to me, what, 4 or 5 months later?
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that you were going through that alone
Yeah.
and not realizing,
The
I
damage.
mean,
Realizing the damage.
the damage, and also the fact, and I don't know why you didn't feel like I would treat you any different or judge you.
It felt like a disappointment. I disappointed myself, and I also felt like I was disappointing you.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
But I mean, how I think everything happens for a reason, and you go through life lessons.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, the life lesson again, as you know, you learned is take accountability of yourself, be your authentic self, be honest, and there's have open communication. So um, and know that also um, trust you trust your strengths.
Mm-hmm.
Know that you have everything you have in you to succeed, because you're going to be your own defeater in the long run.
Yeah, definitely. You can't if you don't believe in yourself, ain't nobody gonna believe in you.
Yeah.
And that's something I had to learn through trials and tribulations and all that. And I mean, that's why integrity is a word that it's a word that I've been repeating to myself every single day. Just
Mm-hmm.
being true to yourself, just trying to be honest. You know what I mean, and realizing that one, life is hard, and two, you can keep on going. You know what I mean, and no bad time is what's the word, consistent, or you know what I mean. It's not always going to be bad times.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean, it will get better, but it's not gonna get better if you don't put in that work, that mental work, or whatever you need to do. You know what I mean?
So I wanted to go back on to at closing. I want you to, I guess, express how what things you need to tell a single mother that some children don't know, and also when we did move to Maryland, what struggles or emotions that you were going through that you said you had to deal with when you were in Maryland and was taken away from Virginia.
Well, the first question, what the single parent, I guess basically just, I guess what it did, I want like I guess single parents to understand that, you know what I mean. I think that communication is going to be key for raising a single child, and you know what I mean. Ask the questions, ask all the questions, no matter what. You know what I mean, and it doesn't matter how many times that kid doesn't answer or bypasses it, keep on pushing. You know what I mean? Because that kid, you know what I mean, it's most of the time they're thinking about a lot, they're going through a lot. You know what I mean? Because especially if they had a parent in their life at some point, and the parent went away. You know what I mean? And even if the parent wasn't there from the jump, you know what I mean. A lot of kids, they have that, oh, my parent abandoned me type feeling. So it's like they're always gonna have um, that little, I guess that viewpoint in their soul of um, abandonment, or you know what I mean. They wanna grab hold onto something and they can't let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you said for what I experienced when I was, I guess, growing up. Like I said, I felt different for a long time, just mentally. Like I don't know if it was depression or whatever. I know I was sad for a lot of my years just growing up. Um,
But you don't know why you were sad.
mm-mm. Nah, I really don't. I don't really don't have a reason why. Like just thinking back why I was sad. You know, like obviously my father not being there that played a part, but it's like I didn't know how to express any emotion. I was so I guess monotone in every part of my life when it comes to just emotion or expressing anything. So I held in a lot of either that was anger, sadness, pain. I never expressed any of that. You know what I mean? I wrote it in my stories or my poetry, but I never expressed it to you or my sister because I feel like well, growing up as a man, you know what I mean, when I thought an ideal man was supposed to be, a man wasn't supposed to express those emotions. A
Mm-hmm.
man wasn't supposed to let anybody hear that, the pain or nothing like that. And I believe,
And did you get that because you saw that in your grandfather? He was
mm-hmm,
just quiet.
seeing grandfather, from what I remember, growing up, like I don't remember much because I was so young, but I do remember him just going to work, coming home, never being loud, never being mad, never getting angry. You know what I mean? Never. He's always being there for the family.
Mm-hmm.
Just that rock, and I think that's what a lot of that's what a lot of people want out of a man. You know what I mean? Even today, you know what I mean? If a man shows emotion or is very open in their way of speaking or their way of emotion, they're seen differently. It's like it's an anomaly to them. And
When you say anomaly a lot, what do you mean? Like they judge you. They feel like they think you soft, not strong if you express your emotions, or what are you saying
it
anomaly?
could be that like yeah, like you seen as less you seen as less masculine if you're
Mm-hmm.
a person that's able to express their emotions confidently and you know what I mean because even like the women I do meet or like the things that I see on YouTube or things I study on the internet, you know what I mean, and even what I've experienced. I don't know if I told you this before. I definitely didn't. I had a like an emotional talk with a woman that I was seeing before, and she had told me that she was sexually assaulted, and at during the moment we was laid up, we had I had cried. You know what I mean, due to her telling me that, because it was one of the first times a woman that was just very open enough to express that to me,
Mm-hmm.
and she had cried too. And I think that during this time we was only seeing we saw each other quote unquote for about maybe that was like 3 months, and after that night we didn't speak again.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So in my mind, I had to think why or try to understand why we didn't see each other again. My only conclusion was like she saw a man cry, and she doesn't have her father. No, she didn't have her father in her life. You know what I mean? She had a stepfather, all that. But I'm assuming, you know what I mean, her growing up single parent household too. Seeing a man, she had a viewpoint of what a man was supposed to be. And I think a lot of women have that too. They have, especially if they grow up in single parent households, they have a viewpoint of what a man's supposed to be, just like how I did.
I honestly, me being from a woman's
Perspective.
perspective,
Mm.
I really don't think that she didn't respond back to you because you cried. I think she did respond back to you because she became vulnerable in a place and expressed herself to you. And I think she is still dealing with that.
Mm.
And I think from that perspective, I don't know how you got her to talk about it. It might have been the first time, but maybe she felt like that she may be judged or you may be judging her. So I don't think it had a lot to do with you crying. I think it had a lot to do with her accepting what happened to her,
Mm.
her letting you in and not maybe not expecting to let you in, and maybe not being able to deal with that part too.
Mm.
But I do understand, like you said, women, some women can't deal with the vulnerable man. Um, they might not want that at the beginning, but they really do want that in a relationship with someone.
Mm.
So never pull that away from what you're doing, because you'll meet that right person.
Right.
But I think a lot of women at the beginning, they get they get scared because they see what they do like what they see, but they don't know how to handle that in the beginning of a relationship.
Mm. But my father definitely wasn't emotionally emotional person, not emotional person, but someone who expressed their emotions, right?
No.
And your taste.
I mean, it's not a few moments. I mean, he expressed things to me. He has had a moment or two when he dwelled deep in there with his emotions and, maybe have shed a tear, but it wasn't too often. And it was because I think he was always trying to protect himself from getting hurt or trying to express those emotions. I mean, not to go back to what, like we just finished. I mean, this is prime time. We just finished watching Creed 3, and the fact that you know the character in the film just going back to those deep emotions in the past was too much for them.
Mm.
So keep it all in. I don't want to hurt. I don't want to express my. I don't want to go back there. It's too hard. So to not go back there, you just don't talk about it. But then also, how are you navigating through the world?
You can't navigate through the world if you're hiding behind your vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Well, the topic definitely kind of changed a little bit, but it's like that. Like being vulnerable is the only way that you're going to be able to grow,
Mm-hmm.
because you're just gonna have things that you just haven't got past, and it's gonna block you from meeting somebody, or just blocking you from progressing
Mm-hmm.
and all that. You know what I mean? It's a sad thing that, you know what I mean. I read something on the internet saying that only 5% of people in the world actually go through their mental work. Only 5% of people go to mental work, meaning they go through their traumas, they go through their pains, they express them, they experience them, like they go through them again, and they handle them. Only 5%. That's a
Mm-hmm.
very small number, which means that a lot of people are walking around hurt.
Right.
A lot of people are walking around with trauma they haven't dwelled with. They're not going to therapists or nothing. They just holding it in, and that's one of the main reasons why I do the podcast and why I even have these type of conversations. You know what I mean? Because I don't want nobody to feel that pain, um, and to hold it in as long as I did.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the reason why I do it. And I ain't gonna lie to you, it's the reason why we even talking about single parenthood is a very petty reason. Just wanted you to know that it's a very petty reason.
What's the petty reason?
Uh, I had went to the gym. It's probably a couple months ago. Yeah, I went to the gym. I was just leaving the gym. Got through my workout. I was leaving, and I saw this fine woman and all that. I asked for her number. She gave it to me. I didn't text her or call her. It's about an hour and some change went by. I was in the shower. Then she had called me. She had called me. Women don't usually do that. Call first. So she had called me. I was like, I'm in the shower. I'm gonna call you back. Blah 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 blah. I called her back. We had a conversation. Um, I think I have a nice conversation with most people. We had a do a little talk. During the talk, she told me she had 2 kids, and I didn't address the 2 kids. I was like, all right. Well, the conversation ended, during the morning, I had texted her saying, no, I do enjoy I enjoyed that talk with you, but you know, I'm I'm not at a stage in my life to be talking to a woman with 2 kids.
Mm-hmm.
I was blunt with her with that, and she had came back with a very defensive text. You know what I mean? I said, actually, no, I'm lying because I'm leaving something out. I told her that yeah, you have 2 kids, and I don't want to be messing with that. But if you wanted to have just be physical, then that would be all right and all that. I definitely said that, and in hindsight, that was just wrong. It definitely was wrong. So I agree with that. So I agree with her. I guess her hitbacks or whatever. But she was like, you know what I mean? Because I told her I grew up in a single parent household, and she was like, you know what I mean? You grown up in a single parent household, I feel like you should understand the strength of a woman, uh, you know what I mean, knowing that they can love, you know what I mean, even um, they can love wherever it comes into their life, regardless. And I told her from the man perspective that, um, yes, I do believe men and women, or a woman can love, you know, a man who comes into their life, but their children will always come first, no matter what, you know what I mean? And that should be the case. You know what I mean? So after that conversation happened and we stopped talking, I had to reflect on myself because I wanted to know if I was wrong and stop talking to her. I wanted to know if I wanted to have more information about this topic, basically,
Mm-hmm.
about a single parent household because she was a single parent and I just didn't want to deal with that.
But what would you think that you would have been missing if you did have a relationship with her?
It's not what I've been missing. It's the responsibility that comes with that. Is I'm
With
one.
helping raise her children,
Yeah,
eventually
yeah,
helping
yeah,
her raise
yeah.
her children.
Cause she had told me, she was like, my kids will have nothing to do with you. You know what I mean? It would be me and you. Like they have nothing to do with you. They're not your priority. And I told her, I was like, so if we built a connection with each other, we started seeing each other. You telling me that your kids, they ain't mine. I ain't got nothing to do with them. I don't gotta feed them. I don't gotta, you know what I mean, talk to them. I don't gotta raise them as if they were my own.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lie.
Mm-hmm.
No woman that has kids is gonna bring a man into their life, and that man can't be a part of their children's life,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what, right? Unless that woman just wants a sexual connection with somebody. But
I mean, there's many people that have children, two different individuals, a man and a woman that have had children with different people, and they come together. You can always meet somebody. I okay, let me just
yeah, but I'm
finish
not.
what I'm saying is you can meet somebody and you're still dating and you're learning each other, and then you come into the fold and the two children are there.
Mm,
um I think what happened to me, honestly, but it also depends on what you were really looking forward. I mean, looking to. What I'm saying is, I think the conversation was too fast, but I also understand you being honest.
yeah,
Like,
I'd rather not waste her time.
right, like you wanna be in a relationship with someone that just do not have children because you want to build on a relationship
Mm,
and have a family that way, correct?
yeah,
Instead of blending a family.
yeah. Well, in my case, it wouldn't be blended the family. I would just be coming into hers. If
Mm-hmm.
you're a single person with no kids,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's I feel like it's different if both parties have children and they come together and they build a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
then they both parties understand that dynamic. They're
Mm-hmm.
both bringing kids in. They're both bringing, you know, what I mean, a different parent to the or like I guess a step parent to that children's life. And even in that sense, they don't really understand the and the importance of bringing a stepchild into a children's life and what they can do to that child. You know what I mean? Because especially when you know what I mean that child already feels abandoned by their biological parent. So when they bring a step parent in, it's like, oh, this parent ain't never gonna live up to my parent that abandoned me.
Right.
They always gonna have that resentment.
Yeah, and so you remember how I was raising y'all. If I was in a relationship with somebody, y'all never saw 'em. You only saw that one person
Yeah.
that I dated, and
And how long was you
I had
dating,
to
bro?
be real comfortable with that.
How long was you dating, bro? Because he came
I
out of nowhere
think
to me.
about maybe 8 months.
8 months. He
Maybe.
came out of nowhere to me.
Yeah.
Came out
So.
of nowhere. Mm. I mean, that's a good amount of time. I know I know I was in high school at that time. I definitely was. But yeah, even that, like him coming in out of nowhere, and like what I saw from him, like I didn't care for him, like whatsoever. Like it wasn't like, oh, I hate bro. You know what I mean? It was just like, okay, as long as you don't hurt my mother, then cool. But
is that what you said to him, or that in your mind? That's what you said.
no, that's in my mind what I said. But I said to you, I was like, I think I remember saying like, yeah. I think I said that to you though. Like I said, as long as he doesn't hurt you, then that's cool, whatever. You know what I mean? So I wanted you to be happy in that and find somebody. But in my mind, I just, you know what I mean, it didn't matter to me that he was there. But again, I have a different mindset than most children at my age. You know what I mean? But most kids that come in and a stepmother, whatever comes in, they're gonna have resentment. They're gonna feel abandoned. They're gonna feel that like it doesn't matter what that step parent does, it's not gonna be enough. And you know what I mean, speaking to that mother that had kids, you know what I mean, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about, you know what I mean, just trying to, if I did go forward with her, nothing would come with it. Honestly, in a sense, like I mean, even if I did fall in love with her, you know, who knows what happens with the kids or the baby fathers or the fathers of their children. I don't like saying baby fathers because I don't like that. But that's the reason why I just nipped it in the bud. And I think, and you always told me that I was very just forward and blunt. And you know what I mean, I realized like in speaking to people now, you know what I mean, because I didn't used to speak to people before, but I realized in speaking to people and communicating that my bluntness and my realness can come off as very, I guess, strong, very too strong, and some I'm still working on. You know, what I mean, I have to figure out how to dial it back and all that, but I also can't fake that part of me. You know, I can't, I can't fake my realness. In a sense, I don't know how to yet. I don't want to be a faker though.
And it's so funny how you was all quiet when you were young, and then you the one that's more outspoken and fearless with it. Like your sister is outspoken, but I think I don't know. It's just I think your outspokenness is more honest. Um, that's the best way I can say it.
But you told me,
like you say what you say, what you say, and there ain't no, it's no playing around. There's no extra words in there, extra phrases. It's just to the point.
Ain't no games.
Right.
I don't like playing games whatsoever. But you told me that when I was growing up, though. You said the same thing even now. Like, because I didn't say much growing up, but when I did, you know what I mean, it caught your eye. Like, oh, yeah, he got a mouth. I remember you used to smack me in my mouth sometimes. Things I used to say, you just smack me in my mouth.
I don't remember that.
You remember that?
But I probably did, because you probably did it in front of everybody. It was like, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, do you think I should? I don't know. You think I should be able, or I should dial it back sometime? Like in it.
I think you're at the point that you have grown as a man where you know when to dial it back. I know you're not out to hurt anybody's feelings.
Yeah.
I think you should still stay honest because every person, whether it's a female or a male, whatever kind of relationship you have, friendship, girlfriend, whoever you marry, you always need to keep it honest and real. I mean, you also need to think of some other people's feelings, and you may have to phrase it better.
Yeah.
Um, but I think you should continue to be your authentic self.
Definitely. Um, I think what you just said, phrasing it better. Um, yeah, definitely have to figure out how to phrase it better. But it's also there's certain people that you have to talk to. I guess just a certain way. Like everybody's not the same.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's something I had to learn.
For sure.
Some people hear the same sentence in just completely different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I've been learning just studying human psychology and just studying people, especially the ones I talk to. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm gonna figure it out, I guess, at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I don't know. Like when I say I want to meet a woman, you know what I mean? I just I don't want her to be the same as me, but that communication style, I I would like it to be similar. A
Mm-hmm.
woman who understands herself, um, who who is open to being honest. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I realized that also, you know what I mean, it's hard for a lot of women to do that. It's hard for a woman to
Well,
be
they
open.
have to have a mate that is makes them feel comfortable in that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, different. You can be in a relationship with a different person. They bring a certain different part of you out of you that you didn't know that you can express. So I think once that person you meet that is that matches up with you feels comfortable enough to show that part of that to you, it'll all come together.
The thing is, every woman that I have spent time with, I've got to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Cause I'm so real with how I speak, and I'm honest and vulnerable with it. They all feel comfortable. It's only happened 3 times. You know what I mean? The 3 times that I've emotionally connected with a woman. You know what I mean? And they all dipped out. But you know what I mean? You saying that it has to be I guess the right person or something like that. I don't know what you just said, but like, you know, that I've been able to be vulnerable with most of the women,
Mm-hmm.
but it hasn't panned out yet.
Because they may be in another place than you are.
Mm. Mm. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I guess. Mm. It's crazy because I used to think about those women all the time. Like I used to think, what was I doing wrong? Like what could I have done better? You know what I mean? But now it's like all I can be is me, no matter
mm-hmm.
what happens in a relationship or a situationship, whatever happens, as long as I'm being me, you know what I mean? A woman's gonna see that
Mm-hmm.
no matter what, so I can't stress over it no more. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's for anybody. If anybody is like just going through that, like they feel like they're not heard, they feel like they're not seen, or you know, you trying to build a connection with somebody and you can't force nobody to be open. You can't force nobody to be you can't force nobody to receive love. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if they want to receive it, they're going to. If they don't, push away.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, you got any more questions for me?
No, that's it. That's it.
All right. Well, this has been Keeping It Benji, and I talked with my mother. It's been a very great conversation. I liked it a lot. Honestly, I learned a lot of things that I didn't know. Um, but yeah, y'all stay blessed. Peace.